Texas!
He's a 10.
I choose this family.
Hi guys, welcome to episode 114 of 911 Lone Star Roundup. I'm one of your hosts, Grace, and with me are my lovely co-hosts, Katie and EJ.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Today we are going to be talking about 911 Season 7, Episode 6, There Goes the Groom, aka the Mandy Wedding. Guys, we finally are here.
Oh my god, we've been thinking and hoping about this for a long time. It's here.
I know. I liked it. I know a lot of people said like this episode sucked, and that makes me like so like disheartened in a way. I'm like, guys,
What?
yeah, I didn't get that. And people are like, I don't know, just obviously we'll talk about it when we get to these parts, but people just, I don't know, people had like real hot takes on this episode, but I'm like, it was like good, even just to get like Chimney like solo stuff and get like, obviously it was like amazing performance from Kenny, so I was just like really happy about that.
Oh yeah, Kenneth Troy acted his ass off.
Oh yeah, he needs an award for that. He did amazing.
All the awards, yeah.
He did. No, I don't think I have a single complaint with this episode. Honestly, I'm just so happy with how it went. And obviously we're going to talk about it. We're going to get further in depth in our feelings. So again, always so much to talk about. You guys know us, so we're going to get straight into it. So we open up with the wedding part that we got last episode, and that that was all. We did get a couple like more we got a little bit more expansion to the scene, obviously. People are outside waiting, like in the last episode. Maddie's freaking out because they're 30 minutes late. And Philip is calling Buck and he's not answering. And I'll be honest, right off the bat, I wanted to smack Philip a little bit.
Yeah, I was not happy with what his dad said in the even if he was leaving a voicemail. Oh, I was not happy.
Like acting like Buck would intentionally miss his sister's wedding when literally the parents did not go to her first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shut the hell up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I'll be honest, it bothered me more after the fact when I saw someone else talking about it online, and I was like, oh wait, that happened, because I was so wrapped up in the episode that like I didn't really pay attention to it. But then someone else pointed out online, and I was like, oh no, you're right, I'm actually really annoyed.
Right, yeah, and it was mentioned later in the episode too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so Buck and Eddie, they roll up. They look like a hot mess. And Maddie asks about Chim, and Buck goes, it's complicated.
And I'm sitting here like, what?
It's like, what's complicated about where he is? Like, how do you not know?
I know.
And then with what we get later on, I understand why he said it's complicated, because there's nothing not complicated about this whole situation.
Oh my god.
So we go into a flashback to the night before, which was the bachelor party. And we get clipboard Buck, not actually with a clipboard, but honestly, he should.
God.
Same vibe. I didn't even think about that until now.
People are calling it clipboard Buck online, and I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I'm like, I so agree.
Mm-hmm. Which actually, I have a fondness for clipboard Buck. I think he's very funny. Too. And as someone who's also a little like stick to the plan, stick to the rules kind of person, like
I fit that criteria too.
I'm like, things have to go this way. I understand. Buck is making sure everything is set. Eddie rolls up, and Buck's like, "You're late."
And he's like, "You're."
Wow. Yeah, it was very much like, I don't even know what, but like it's just like him scolding Eddie is just like the best.
Because Eddie rolls in, it's like, look at me, I look great. Like he's in this cute pink suit. Like Ryan wears pink so well, honestly, like his skin so well. And so Eddie explains that he drops Chris at his cousin's, and then he's like, ooh, sliders. And Buck slaps his hand away.
Like a mom.
He's like, no.
All right.
And he's like, you didn't just do that.
He did.
You see in his face, he's realizing how this is going to go.
Yeah, and this is when I'm like, okay, forget about a groomzilla or like a bride or a bridezilla. This is like a groomsmanzilla, because he is literally freaking out more than anybody else.
In-lawzilla at this point. Like, he is, he's taking that to certainly a level. And so Tommy shows up, and I saw her, I was like, Tommy! And I'd already seen the clip of the scene that was floating around online, and I still loved it as much. I
Yeah.
still loved it so much, even in the episode.
Yeah, same. But like, okay, so like I found out Tommy was gonna be there, like I want to say a few days before the clip came out, just because
Mhm.
people were like, "Oh, Lou had posted like this from the bachelor party. Okay, like why is he there?" And I'm like, he could have just been on set, but like whatever. Also, like Lou
Mhm.
is literally becoming how Ronan is with Lone Star, because I swear to God, this man is a walking spoiler alert. I'm like,
Yes, I
dude,
totally agree. Oh my
dude,
god.
like he's spoiling storylines left and right. I'm surprised he hasn't gotten any text. Like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, I think I saw somebody make a comment that Oliver, Lou, and Ryan need to go back to PR school.
I love that.
Which I love how it's just I do love the three of them, because it's like Oliver is finally being like very free in his interviews. Like he hasn't been as much in the
Yes.
past, and he's finally
Yeah.
opening up. Ryan's just living life. Like he's been let out of PR jail,
Totally.
talking, he's enjoying it. And I was like, oh, he's gonna be the problem child for PR this year. Nope, that one goes to Tommy or Lou,
Yeah.
rather.
I
And
think
Lou's just being a goofball.
yeah, he
Love
is.
him.
Yeah. Yeah, they all share that.
They all share a brain cell. And I love that for them.
Yeah.
So anyhow, and Eddie, so we get Buck and Eddie, or Buck and Tommy hugging. We get like a high five between Eddie and Tommy, and I love
Right.
it. I'm loving the
Yeah.
camaraderie. And then Eddie, after Buck and Tommy hug out, I didn't know you could bring a date to a bachelor party. I'm like, well, it works when they're both guys, like
That is true.
stereotypical bachelor parties, you know.
Mhm.
We're gonna ignore the fact that like Hen and Karen are there later, but like
I
it
know,
actually worked with
because people were complaining about that online. And I'm like, guys, can you just leave Tommy alone?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but Hen and Karen are there, so what are you gonna say about that, guys?
And also, like, as Tommy points out, I knew Chimney before he was Chimney. Like, I'm wondering, because of course, we're not positive how much Chimney and Tommy were like there, but I am thinking, like, having reconnected at with the helicopter and everything, I'm wondering if Tommy would have been invited regardless. Like, even if Chimney did have much say in this, which we're going to find out he didn't.
Well, like my thing is that even when Tommy left the 118, Chimney and Tommy, like, whatever, like it was mentioned that they'd like talk every once in a while. So like I feel like it was maybe like a text, or I don't know, something social media wise, like every once in a while. Or maybe they met up like every once in a while or something like that. Like I think they still stayed in contact, not to say that they were like
Mhm.
besties or anything like that, but like they caught up. So I think ideally Tim would have invited Tommy, because like
Oh, of course. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
so like I don't think that's like too far out.
No, I think it makes a lot of sense.
Right.
And so yeah, like he was gonna be, and of course, keeping in mind for like everybody online, sometimes all Tommy has to do is breathe, and people get upset. So
I
like
know, it's ridiculous.
it's a thing. But where this is this is a comedy scene right now.
Oh yeah.
So Buck goes, and he's also not officially my date until the wedding tomorrow. And that's fair, but like let's be real, he's your date.
Yeah.
So Tommy's on standby. So
Mhm.
that he's on call. He could be called off at any point. But I think it's so sweet that he still made the time to like come and everything.
Right. I love that.
Yeah. And so Buck goes, "What are you wearing?" I told you it's 80s theme. And Tommy goes, "They had Henleys in the 80s."
Right.
Yeah, I
mean-
love it. And like also he's like on call, he's on standby. People were like, Tommy, how dare you show up like that? It's like, first of all, he's on standby. Second of all, somebody actually made this point. I saw a video about it today. Somebody was like, okay, people are like ripping Tommy apart, but let me put it this way. So Buck and Tommy have been on like 2 dates. Maybe it's just they were like, maybe it's just me. But like if I had only been on 2 dates with somebody, I wouldn't really put that much effort in to go to a party. I would go there and I would like, I would go to the party, but like I wouldn't necessarily put in that much effort for somebody I'd only been on 2 dates with.
Also, he's already putting in the effort by coming to begin with. Like
I know.
he's clearly into it. And also it's like, if I recall correctly, like looking at anyone else who was there, I'm not sure anyone other than Buck and Eddie were on theme anyway. Like
I
some
think
people
they
were
were
dressed up, but I don't know that anyone else was necessarily like we
yeah. Yeah,
to
the
be
Yeah.
fair, we only know that Buck and Eddie were dressed up because they said they were. Otherwise, they could just be
because
wearing suits.
Yeah, yeah, like, well, yeah, yeah, they were like Buck and Eddie, I feel like were the only ones that really made a plan, and like it was mentioned so much in the episode. And it's just like, Tommy is there. I think that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. Ken and Karen show up, and Robbie shows up. I'm like, Robbie. Though I'll be honest, I for some reason I had trouble recognizing him in the scene. I don't know what seemed weird about that to me, but like I had to like double take for saying, is that Robbie? Which is very strange. I never had to do that before. But yes, so Robbie's there, and Robbie's eating the food, and Buck's like, put that back.
I know. It's just like in like
Like,
the amount of scenes we've gotten with Buck and like
Right.
Robbie and Ruck being like that. I'm just like that one where he was chasing around with the chainsaw or whatever it was.
I
and
forgot about that. Oh
yeah,
my
my
gosh,
brain
yes.
immediately went back to there. So
they have such sibling energy.
they do, they
I
do.
Like Robbie's a little sibling, and Buck's like tormenting him, and I like, but in a good way, and I love that. So they wait for a while, and Chim does not show up. And Hen told Buck, well, we know that Chimney didn't want one. And this is clearly a point that has been made before. I think Eddie mentioned the same thing earlier earlier. And so we get the flashback back to Chim telling Buck no, which no one tells Buck no. Not like that. When he gets his mind set to something, he's doing it.
But I love that, out of all of that, even then, Eddie's like, we should do, go as these characters. And it was like, so like, Chim didn't want one yet. Buck was like, yes, we're doing it.
Yeah.
And I do love that Eddie was the one to come up with the costume idea.
Yes, that was such a great idea.
Yes, that's so cute, actually. So back present day, well, sort of present day. We're still technically a flashback. Everyone starts to leave the bachelor party, and Tommy gets called to work. And Buck goes, "Where's the fire?" And Tommy goes, "Angela's Crest." So there's an actual fire he's getting called away for. And Tommy looks so apologetic, and he's like, "I will try and make that kid to the wedding." Like he'll like, I'll make to the wedding. And it's so cute because Buck looks so disappointed. He's already disappointed that everyone else is leaving because Chim is not. Chim has, so everyone else is leaving. So it just becomes Buck and Eddie at that point. And so some girls come into the wrong room, and Eddie and Buck sort of just join the party, and they get so drunk.
Literally.
Like that was a wasted level. Like they were so drunk.
I know.
No, I've seen it debated online. Like, so obviously Buck had his party days and his travel days and everything like that. But considering that like Eddie became a dad at like 1920-ish and then was in the military and then has kind of been a single dad ever since then, has he ever got a chance to just clean party?
I think
so. I'm sure there were times like when he was in the military, there was probably a wild night, but like to the Buck level, no, I want to say.
Yeah, especially with like I feel like because military, they go to bars and stuff like that, get drunk. If they're single, hopefully pick up girls, that kind of thing. But this is like party level. And Buck's like taking it to a whole level. I love this. So I feel like I should say they're like he's letting loose, and it's great to see him letting loose. The two of them, they share one brain cell. It's on vacation, and occasionally a sixth of it will come back and divide itself between the two of them. So they will each, on occasion, have 1/12 of brain cell each.
Oh, God. Yeah, I know. I was like, what is going on here?
And it went to sleep this time. They are feeding off of each other. There are ways that they're hanging off of each other. They're like, oh, she should get an Uber. We should get Uber. We should take the party to Chimney. And they're partying with strangers who have no idea who Chimney is.
Right.
But wait, they're all wasted. No one who cares who Chimney is.
I know. It's like, let's go.
They break into his hotel room, and with all the people they partied with, they brought the whole thing with them. And Buck's like, "Daddy, you got a key?" And he goes, "We don't need a key. We're firefighters."
And I'm like, oh my God.
That cleaning bill just went up a whole lot.
Chimney is just gonna be like, here guys, here you go, because you made this mess, you're gonna clean it up. Here's the bill.
Yeah.
That's what I would do at least.
Yeah, there's a lot. Like when I looked at the hotel room later, I was like, oh, that they're gonna have to pay out their ass for that one.
I feel so bad for those
and then
people.
yeah,
Those poor people.
Like, oh my gosh. Then Buck rips Eddie's shirt, so that's how Eddie lost his shirt.
Sounds about right.
Yep. And then we get to the next morning. Buck's face first on the floor. Eddie's laying backwards in a tub with his feet hanging over the side. And,
I'm like, yep,
and it
y'all
was
had some fun.
I don't even know that they're hungover yet. I think they're still drunk.
Honestly, yeah, they
Yeah.
So bad.
like they're functional enough to be like, okay, let's figure this out, but they're not quite hungover.
Yeah, they're suffering, and Eddie is really about to lose his guts at every given second.
Oh god, he looked terrible.
Terrible. And so then they realize that Chim was never here. And they go, that's not good. And so we go back to fully present day, back at the wedding venue. And Maddie's pulling out her phone after the explanation. And Margaret, their mom, is like, are you calling 911? And Maddie goes, I am 911.
I know, it was just
I love
like
that.
I love that line.
I loved it. And she's like, I'm calling Chim. And she doesn't get a hold of Chim. And Hen's like, do you have him on Find My Friend? And Maddie's like, yes. And they get his location. And so now we go to Chim himself. And Chim is in his car, and this is not good. So this guy knocks on his window, offers to help him because he said Chim doesn't look good. And I'm getting weird vibes from this guy already. And
I
I'm like,
had
Right.
bad feelings the
Yeah, me
second
too.
they started talking to each other. Like, I'm like, this
I felt like
cannot
he was about to
end
fall.
well.
Yeah. And so Chim's like, I feel like I'm supposed to be somewhere. He sounds like he's very groggy. He doesn't sound good. And the guy offers to drive, gets Chim to step out. Not good.
I so saw that coming. So saw it
Yeah,
coming.
I did too.
Yeah. And then he steps out, and the guy steals the car and throws his
Yep.
phone out the window.
Yep,
Uh-huh.
saw that
And you get
coming. I was like, no, like, there are good people in the world, but people are not that nice. Like,
Right.
it just, and that guy gave bad vibes the whole time. And yeah, you hear his phone vibrating in the middle of the street. And when he gets his car stolen, Chim's just standing there like, okay.
I mean, there's not much he can do.
Well, no, and he doesn't have enough mental capacity to be like, do anything.
Yeah, he's totally
Mhm.
like something's wrong, and yeah.
He's very out of it. And so we go to the Lees, like in a flashback, and we're seeing them. I love the Lees.
I know, same. I love this.
And this is another year on the anniversary that Kevin died. And so we see them lighting a candle for Kevin. And then at dinner, Chim is acting odd. Like, he's jittery, he has a headache, and this is clear foreshadowing at this point.
Right.
And so yeah, I had also forgotten that Chim and Maddie wanted to get married at their home, and I had always thought that was a
Mhm.
cute idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I literally forgot about that. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that was like the intended plan. And when Chim was like, he was so like, he kept dropping his fork or whatever, and he was talking about the headache, and I'm like, that, like, okay, yeah, like there are times when you get headaches and you might get one every day for a period, but when you're like consistently like that, I'm like, Chim, that is not good. Maybe you should like go get that checked out, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially being that he's a paramedic, he knows these things, but I understand that like sometimes your
Also
brain
the
does
worst
not
patient.
work like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You're the worst.
I feel like you just can't see an issue with yourself, but you can diagnose
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Because it's like,
Well,
am I
and
overreacting?
yeah. Right. And he's thinking like maybe this is just from the stress of getting ready for the wedding and
Yeah, so apparently I mean they're having the wedding at a venue because Maddie's parents are paying for it. I'm like, you know what, fair enough, actually.
you know they're
You
actually
know,
doing something for their children. Sorry.
Well,
you know,
yeah, and I think the point that was brought up was that like Tim feels that like they're only really doing it because they missed the first wedding. But like I think a comment was brought up like, yeah, well they're gonna see the better one, which totally true.
Yeah.
it's true. It's true. So then we see Chim in present day going across a busy street with traffic to get his phone. He's not registering there's cars. He's not like you hear horns around him. He's not processing it. And he almost gets hit by a bus.
Yeah, because he's trying to get
Yeah.
his phone. Well, I don't even know. Like, obviously, he's trying to get his phone because he knows it was thrown across there. But, like, he doesn't even have, like, enough mental capacity to be like, okay, I need to pick this up. I need to get it.
Yeah. And so so he winds up getting on said bus. And the phone gets run over by a car. So he never got it.
Yeah.
So we go back to the wedding venue. Athena gets a call. She asks the officer what he found. I'm pretty sure it's Officer Williams, which that's great to see
Yes.
back.
Yeah, we've seen him a few times. That's cool.
And he says how the phone is where they said, but no chimney, and the car's gone too. And Athena tells him to put out a below for Chim and his car. And Maddie asks if there are traffic cameras visible, and the officer says a few. So now we go to the call center. And like, here we go. That's what makes sense. So she's getting off the elevator. Josh is like holding the dress.
Yeah, I love it.
It's so cute. Oh my god.
I love it. Yes.
And she's gonna check the camera. Josh is gonna check the call logs. And Sue's very confused because she's like, runaway bride? And he goes, runaway groom. Yeah. I feel like we had like small appearances from like a lot of different people this episode. So like again, good to see Sue as well.
And what's about to happen, I didn't expect it, but I'm not surprised.
Okay, yes. Like, so, like, people have been theorizing about, like, who was standing behind Chim for, like, literally weeks. And I don't think any of us would have guessed who it was.
Right.
Yeah, because we weren't thinking it was a medical issue. We were all thinking he got taken. So I did have it spoiled for me before I actually watched the episode. I wasn't really trying to avoid spoilers all that much, I'll be honest. I did have it spoiled that it was a medical issue. I saw something about hallucinations. I don't remember if I like saw exactly like what it was before I watched the episode, but this was certainly, again, like no one could have really gotten this one. And Tim is on the bus and someone sits next to him and it's Doug. And I like freaking jump scare.
Yeah, jump scare. I was like, oh my god, it's Doug. What the hell? And
in a Santa hat too.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, I'm gonna be honest. So like we heard his voice before we saw him, and he says something, and I'm like, who the hell is that? And then they show Doug, and I'm like, oh my god, what?
Right.
Yeah, because he said, have you finished your Christmas shopping yet? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's very interesting because obviously this is because LA, this is all in Chim's mind.
Right.
And so it's like it's interesting to see what his mind conjures up for all this. It's very much giving me Coma Dream vibes.
Right.
Like it's another one of those. Yeah, it's so weird. And Doug pulls out his gift. It's a knife, saying that she always wanted to stab me to death, and then stabs Chim.
Yeah. Which which it does kind of make sense because obviously these are all things that have happened, and like your subconscious is so interesting. Like dreams are so interesting. Like just how your brain works, I find so fascinating. And just so like, yeah, Chim was stabbed by him before. It was also during Christmas time, so it kind of makes sense why he's hallucinating all these things.
Right.
It's wild.
Yeah. So and then we kind of get shaken out of the subconscious era and we see that Chim's sitting alone in the bus.
Great.
Yeah. So then we go to my checking cameras. We see Chim in the middle of the road. See he got on the bus and they got the bus ID number. So Sue goes to call the company. And so Chim shows up somewhere and he looks so confused. And this is definitely one which had so many twists and turns because it wasn't like, where is this gonna go?
Right.
Because it's not meant to be logical.
Right. Also, an earlier scene when he gets on the bus, he's saying, "I think I'm late for work," which is like, okay, that's weird.
It is weird.
This like him just going from place to place. I was on the edge of my seat the whole entire time. Like some people are like, I was really not worried about him because like they never kill anybody, but like in my brain when I was watching this whole episode I was like, oh my god, like is something bad actually gonna happen? Like I was worried the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, like I wasn't necessarily worried that something was like something irreparable was gonna happen, but it was
I
still
wasn't sure.
I was a little on the edge of my seat mainly because I was like, well, what is gonna happen? Like,
Right.
how are they gonna resolve this? What's going on? Like that kind of thing. So, I think it was suspenseful. I think they did a really good job. And again, Kenny's acting was
Yeah.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So Maddie and Hen are watching the camera. Maddie wonders if it could relate to his previous brain injury, which I think that's a logical question.
Right.
He did get a freaking rebar through the skull about 7 years ago.
Yeah, I just saw a clip of that and was like, oh my God, like
It's crazy.
it's crazy.
And so Hen says she doesn't think so. And Maddie's freaking out, of course, and she was sort of like blaming herself for like any stress that Chim was under. And
Mhm.
I think it's Hen that goes that marrying you was the one thing he wasn't stressed about.
Right.
Like, that's so cute.
That's
Yeah,
so
he
sweet.
was-
I love it.
I love it.
So Josh and Sue talked to the bus driver. She said Chim seemed out of it, but otherwise normal. And Maddie asked if she talked to him, and Sue said that he was talking about being late for work. And of course, they're confused because the bus was nowhere near the firehouse.
Right.
And so we go back to Chim, and he's just standing there on the corner of a street. And the guy that works at what seems to be like a bakery,
Mhm.
some guy comes out, notices him, and Chim's like, I'm late for work. And he talks to the guy, and he's very confused. And he even says that he's like, I thought I worked here. Then he's talking about the karaoke bar he worked at way back when, because the karaoke bar he worked at was what got him into being a firefighter, because that's the one that burned down.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, he lost about 20 years of his life here, like
Yeah,
8
not that.
of his life.
Yeah, just about
agree.
because that was like 2005.
And it's about present day. Like,
Yeah.
we don't get an exact year, but it's about present day.
Yep.
So it'll be about 19 years, which is
Right.
absolute insanity. And the guy tells him how the bar burned down years ago. And Chim's getting flashbacks to the fire and being a hero, and Chim's wondering what's wrong with him. And then he sees Doug and he just runs off.
Which I would too. Like, that's terrifying.
Totally.
I was with Chimney the whole
would've
time. I
yeeted
was
myself
like
out.
so scared.
I would have
Even though,
yeeted
like,
myself out the
that's his
window.
mind.
Yeah. Valid Chim. But also, clearly he's the only one that can see Doug. So the guy he was talking to is very confused.
Mhm.
Bobby and Athena talk to the guy. And he says how Chim seemed agitated. He was there not too long ago. And I'm like, oh, we're actually like really close on his trail. I was expecting them to be
Mhm.
further away from him. But no, they're
Yeah.
actually really close. And Athena tells Maddie, they're going to find him. Josh wonders if it has to do with the karaoke bar that his bachelor party was at, but that's not it. And Sue asks if he doesn't know what day it is. And Hen says she's starting to wonder if he doesn't know what year it is. And Hen mentions how he worked at the karaoke bar in 2005 until it burned down. It's right on that corner.
Yeah, doesn't she pull up a news article about it and show him?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they got the news article and the location.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think they looked for the bus and like where the bus dropped him off, and then they're like, well, why would he go there? And then that's when Hen looked it up online, and that's when they found it. And then it burned down, and he helped rescue some people from it or something.
So they talk about how he's forgotten about 20 years possibly, and then Hez says he might not be the only one. And it's interesting. I love how she's putting this together actually, because we go to a flashback to a 2 weeks earlier call.
Mhm.
So Hen tells Chim, if he doesn't want a bachelor party, just tell Buck. And Chim says telling Buck no is like telling a dog not to hump your leg.
I found that so funny because like it's so true. That was like the best analogy that they could have made.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not a general fan of like the analogy, but I love like the general spirit behind it, because it's true. Like it's like it, just let him do it. He'll ride it out.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's true. So they have this guy that's in like the tuck work of this
Yeah.
apartment, and Buck's still planning the bachelor party, and Chim quickly like, I'll go in just to get away.
Same.
This guy
Same.
isn't, yeah, and it's like, so this guy thinks he just caught his like what he thinks is fiance cheating on him, and so Chim is calming him down a little bit. They get him out of the duct and everything, and they talk to the woman. She's like, no, that is my ex-husband as he has been for 17 months. But the guy is extremely confused. Like, he believes this is his fiance.
Right.
And it's like, okay. So Maddie and Hen are at the call center again. Buck brings her clothes. Eddie brought was holding like the catering and everything. Hen is calling the hospital about the guy from the call because they think he might have been showing similar behavior to Chim, which is fair, losing that amount of time. And then Hen found out that he had viral encephalitis, and Maddie asked him how he is, and Hen says that the guy died that immediately adds, higher stakes to the situation.
Right.
If they weren't already high enough, it's like, yeah, no, this is not good.
Well, and then everybody gets concerned because, Buck and Eddie are both there, and Eddie even makes a comment like, well, maybe we should all get tested. And we're like, yeah, possibly, but you weren't, none of this. Chim was the one that was like in close quarters in that little duct with the guy.
And
who sneezed on him.
Yeah, the guy sneezed on him. So yeah, direct transfer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was way closer than any of them were.
Yeah, so probably should all still get tested just to be safe, but he's definitely the one that had the highest risk.
Right.
So someone drives through a farmer's market, and Chim is standing right there, and he may not remember he's a paramedic, but he's still a paramedic.
Yeah.
He just rushes in and starts triaging everyone and tells them to call 911 for multiple ambulances and rescue teams. The driver had been having a seizure, so he helps out the driver. And then we hear the fire trucks and the ambulances arriving, but Chim sees Doug again and runs. I'm like, we were so close.
We were so close, so darn close.
So Bobby finds out that Chim was here. He tells Athena, Buck, and Eddie that Chim triaged everyone, but when first responders got here, he was gone. So Eddie's like, that maybe he remembers who he is. And Bobby says how he told one of the witnesses that he works at a karaoke bar. So Bobby doesn't think so.
Right.
And Athena's like, he may not remember who he is, but he is who he is.
It's his instincts.
Right.
And again, he's worked like 20 years as a paramedic. It's deeply ingrained in him. So Bobby says how he couldn't have gotten that far. It was less than half an hour ago. So they all are splitting up on foot to look for Chim. And Buck is so close.
Yeah.
He literally walks by where Chim is, but Chim's on the other side.
Like a gate or something, and he doesn't see him. It's like, oh,
yeah,
so close.
It was so close. And Chim's out of it. Obviously, he's not even technically Chim right now because he doesn't go by Chim.
Yeah, which is why Buck's like Chimney Howard, because like he knows his actual name.
Yeah. But he looks through at Buck, but obviously he's not going to recognize him. He doesn't know him.
Right.
And Chim wakes up, tries to get himself up, but then Doug is in his head. And Chim says he thinks people are looking for him. And Doug's like, you bet they are. Chim sees Maddie and G. And Doug's like, she's in your head, isn't she? And all these good and the bad memories are coming back. And it's so much to watch. They have not had an easy time. And so when Chim is crawling, trying to get up, Doug was one behind him.
That's still wild to me. Like, I could not believe that that's what that was.
It's something. Again, it's, as you said, it's wild. So Chim passes out again. When he wakes up to Kevin. Like, oh my goodness, it's Kevin.
No, I was so excited when I saw that. I was like, it's Kevin, yes.
I know. I loved it. I loved, like, if anybody could be in Chim's hallucination, Kevin needs to be it.
Yes, for sure.
Exactly. And it links back to the previous scene that we got of them lighting a candle for him, because they were they were saying something about like inviting his spirit in and everything.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is how it connects. Because I did hear that Kevin showed up in a hallucination before I watched the episode. I'm like, this is how it connects. Oh my goodness.
Right. Well, and I know that the Chinese culture and the Korean culture and even the Japanese culture have this thing, and much like other cultures have that, where they on anniversaries of deaths or at a certain time of the year, you celebrate and you welcome the ancestors, and the ancestors are with you and that kind of stuff. So I really liked how they played into that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was really great. And Kevin tells him to stay awake, to fight, to go home. And I did love how, Chim's like, "How are you here?" And he's like, "You invited me."
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a total freak out over that scene. It was amazing. We love it. So Jim goes home. Well, sort of home. He goes to the Lees.
Yeah.
And they tell him that everyone's been looking for him. He asks where Kevin is, and they tell him that he's dead because he keeps asking where.
Right.
And they're confused. They're not sure what's going on with Chim. And then Chim just breaks down upon hearing that, and then passes out.
Yeah.
I know, that was
It-
so sad because like at this time, like it is like he's reliving that just because he doesn't
Mhm.
remember that
Yeah.
like Kevin is dead. So it's so sad.
Right.
Yeah, it's like he went through the pain all over again, even
Yeah.
all these years later.
Well, and I think that happens a lot with people, especially those who have some sort of memory trauma. They wake up and then a family member's passed away that was alive in the memories they have and things like that. So yeah, I was like, oh, this is, I feel bad that he's having to go through all this. And
I
he's supposed to be
know.
getting married that day. Ugh.
Yeah, this is not how that day was supposed to go. But then we go to Chim being in the hospital. He wakes up. Of course, Maddie is right there, and she turns off some of the lights. He's trying to talk. He can't at first. Maddie's asking him if he knows where he is or who he is. He can't answer that right now. But he does say he's sorry for missing their wedding. And Maddie's like, "You remember?" Because she was prepared. She was prepared for him to not remember, which is a hard thing to prep for.
Right.
Yeah.
Is someone forgetting their entire relationship. I've heard instances of it before. And then Chim's like, "Yeah." And then she runs in, which is so cute.
It was so cute.
I love G, and I love that she's getting older, so we're having more interactions with them.
Yeah. And so Chim is like, she's just like her dad, but fast.
Cute.
And Chim tells him, he's trying to get back to them the whole time. Chim asks if he can ask Maddie a question, and she's like, "Of course, anything." And Chim's like, "Will you marry me?" I'm like, "Oh my God. And Maddie's like, "As soon as we get out of here," which apparently is not going to be for 3 weeks. And Chim's like, "I don't want to wait."
Yeah, because by this time he's been in the hospital. They've already gotten him on antibiotics to treat the encephalitis, and he's starting to kind of come back to mental, awareness. And yeah, but it's going to take a while to treat him. So.
Oh yeah, and they've got to observe it because obviously, what happened with the guy that they got before was 2 weeks past and he still died. So like clearly they know what's gonna happen here. Chim's doing well. Sounds like the other guy had like a much more progressed case, but still they gotta keep an eye on him. So we have a hospital wedding, which you know what? How else was it ever going to turn out?
Yeah, I know. Like a lot of people were like mad about that. They're like, really, like we waited so long and this is what they give us. I feel like it made more sense just because like every milestone that they've had has been like revolved around some traumatic event or something that have to do with them having to be hospitalized. So like
I think they
I
say
feel
that
like it was full circle.
Yeah, for sure.
I would have loved for them to have been able to have like a perfect wedding with, at the venue and all that. Like, I feel like they did deserve to have that. But the fact is that they still got married.
Yeah,
exactly. Like a wedding is a wedding at the end of the day. Like you're getting married. It's gonna last for one day. You're gonna have the memories. Sure, that's great. But the important thing about it, I think it's lost so much, especially nowadays, is that this is a marriage. The wedding isn't about the wedding. The wedding is about the marriage.
Right.
Exactly. That's that. Yeah, that is exactly the thing. And all that matters is that they were there. Yeah, I was at a hospital, but like honestly, who the hell cares?
Yeah, and all the important people in their lives were there.
Yeah.
And they weren't out any money for the venue. They didn't have to pay. Well, they have the hospital bills, but they don't have to pay extra for the hospital.
That's later. That's later.
Right.
And maybe with enough wheedling we can get the Buckleys paid for that too. That'd be nice. So of course it's like this, and it's still cute and it's amazing. And the moment we have moment with Louise, wrapping him up, giving him a flower, put in his buttonhole. They've kind of put like a tuxedo jacket over his hospital gown.
That was cute.
Which that work. And the song in the background is a song that Jennifer Love Hewitt actually did a cover of.
Islands in the Stream.
Yeah, Islands in the Stream.
Which is what they sang karaoke to in season 2. And I know people had hoped that was going to be what happened. And it is, and that's amazing. And Jennifer has such a pretty voice.
I know. I love how that was like her wedding gift for Kenny, because I think that's so sweet. Like, she thought to record that for him, because she said the reason was because he likes to listen to like music before scenes, especially like stuff like this, like emotional songs. And she said that he listened to it like so much the day they were filming this episode, which I think is just like, it's beautiful. I love it.
So cute. Yeah, so it's cute. It's, Maddie's walked down the hospital halls. She's in her dress and everything. Looks gorgeous.
G walking around with a little balloon that says it's a girl.
I know.
So
it
cute.
was just like they found the first thing they could find at the hospital gift shop, which is so perfect.
Right?
You know what? Improvising.
Improvise. We love it.
And of course, she isn't even dressed up or anything like that. She's in like a, shirt and her jeans, and she looks very cute. And Bobby officiated, which I had always been hoping was going to happen.
Yes.
And
I love how he's like, the power vested in me and the Los Angeles Fire Department.
We love it.
Yes. And it was so cute. I think it's by going, you two just got hitched.
I know. I love that.
I love it. And then so they have their first kiss as a married couple, and it's so cute, and everyone's clapping. And of course, having waited a little bit longer, we actually have some other people that hadn't been able to be there for the original wedding, like Sue. You see her in the background. And Eddie brought Abuela. Abuela was there.
I thought so. I saw the behind the scenes pics, and I'm like, isn't that Abuela?
Yeah, Abuela and Chris were there.
Isabella Diaz, you are a queen, and I adore you.
Yes,
she's amazing. So we got so many. It was good to see Chris too, because it's been a few episodes since we've seen him.
Yes.
So yeah, that was amazing. So then one of my personal favorites of the episode,
right?
Agreed.
A text, and you can immediately tell by the way his face lights up, and he goes off as everyone's still clapping for Maddie and Shim. And Tommy's here. And he comes in, he is covered in soot, he's in turnouts, and he comes in with arms raised, being like, I am so sorry. He looks so apologetic.
Yeah, he feels so bad.
He's like, I'm sorry for being late. That fire was a beast. And Buck does not give a shit. He walks up with this big smile on his face. It's like, so are you. And then he fucking devours him.
I know. Exactly. It was so good. I was just
it was so good. I spent the weekend writing a fanfic about it.
We love it.
No, oh my goodness.
That scene has been all over like my social timelines. The amount of edits and the amount of even just like picture like edits of like whatever song they have playing for it. I was just like, I could see this a million times and never get sick of it.
Yeah, it was. I have watched that so many times. I've just gotten to watch that scene before, and it's so like he totally takes Tommy by surprise too. He's like, it's Oliver, you weren't kidding. Like that you said you initiated a kiss. You initiated a kiss. Yeah. So anyhow, that was amazing. And so they go back to the room, and Buck has got soot over the lower half of his face.
It's covered in soot. Yep.
Yeah, which I feel like there have been so many reactions to that. Like people like, Tommy, how dare you like let your man like walk in there like that? And it's just like, somebody,
Buck-
yeah, Buck knew, and I don't think Buck really cared at all.
Didn't he?
I'm sure
so
Tommy
didn't.
brought it up to him as like, you got like stuff on your face. You might want to wipe that off. And Buck's like, I don't care.
Well, we have to remember the wedding was going to be the revelation of their relationship to begin with.
True.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that Tahami was going to be Buck's date. So it's not like they're trying to keep it a secret right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like
And Buck's just
Maddie,
happy. He's like the golden retriever he is. He just wants to
And
run in
he's-
there and be like, hey, this is my date.
he wants
Right.
to take Tommy in there and show him off.
He does.
Exactly.
And he does, literally.
Yeah, literally he did.
So,
He did the thing.
he comes in and Buck's like, hey, look who almost made it. And Tommy gives a very heartfelt congrats to Maddie and Chim, says he's
Yeah.
sorry for missing the ceremony. And Chim's like, thanks, Tommy. And then Chim looks kind of back and forth between two of them. And he's like, it looks like you were busy. And
Yeah, I loved that.
he's like, wait, what? And it's so funny because like Hen's head tilts like, I'm sorry, you say what?
Right.
Then Karen tilts just afterwards like, wait a second.
Their
And
faces,
then
I
you
loved
see
that.
Eddie just smirking.
Eddie
Yeah.
was so happy for him.
Right.
And the one reaction I wish we gotten was Bobby and Athena. I wish we gotten to see their reactions, but I'm feeling like we're gonna get some content
Mm-hmm.
at some point with them. Lily's mentioning it, so I'm not too worried about it, but I do wish we'd seen their reactions.
And I love Hen's reaction of about damn time. I was
Well,
like,
yeah,
yes.
well, it's about damn time. And I was just like, that is exact reaction I thought she would have.
Yeah. I think
She was
every fanfic out there, like whenever whenever something happens, whether it's Buddy or Tommy, it's all, well, it's about damn time. It's about what she says. So
Listen, she just radiates good gaydar.
Yeah.
So like, I'm not sure. Like, I'm still curious if Hen or Chim knew that Tommy was gay, but like this, of course, she was closer to Buck for a lot longer, so she knew.
Yeah.
She knew. And then everyone kind of just moves on from it. Like it's not made a big deal or anything like that. Though the parents certainly have an interesting look on their face. Like Margaret has an interesting look on her face, but they don't make it.
Yeah, because she looks at Philip and they're kind of, I think they're just like confused. I honestly don't really,
Yeah.
I don't know, but like,
People are saying they like look disgusted or look upset. They look.
Which I expected people to say. And like, don't get me wrong, I don't like them like I don't like them at all. But like, I'm trying to be neutral on them just because like, yes, like they did terrible things in the past and like I'll never forget that, but also I don't want to like just behold all these grudges on them. Like I want to think that they're actually trying to make up and do good by their adult children.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I will take Hen's line from season 2, which is like, altering it a little bit, they're your parents. You can forgive and move on. I get to hold a grudge until I die. I will hold a grudge until I die. Gladly, in real life as well. But with the Buckley parents, I'm more neutral. I definitely don't like them very much. I do lean towards like negative towards them, but like I'm not fully opposed to seeing their interactions in a positive light if they do deserve it. So I would be interested. I feel like it's been said that it's going to be addressed in a later episode with the Buckley parents.
Yeah.
So I'm curious how that, but I don't think there's necessarily like ill intent there. Also, I did see that the people who played the Buckley parents did not know.
Which I actually like that a lot better because maybe those were their actual like reactions.
Could have been.
I think they saw the script. I think when they saw the script, that's when they didn't know. So I don't think it was fully in the scene.
Yeah.
Like that, I don't think it was, because obviously you have to study your script. You have to know where you're supposed to be, where you're supposed to. You would see some spoiler. But like when they got the script, because they hadn't been keeping up with season 7, they did know. So I did see something about that. I was like, oh, that's actually kind of cool. So I feel like that was at least very similar to how their initial reaction.
Yeah.
So we get the end scene. Everyone is gone. It's just Maddie and Chim in the hospital bed. And Maddie asks how he's feeling, and Chim's like, right at home. Like, sadly, that is true.
I swear
and
that hospital room needs to just have for the 118 and family.
yep, they just need a wing of the building dedicated to them at this point. And Maddie's like, well, why? Because every significant moment in our lives happens in a hospital. It's
Right.
becoming.
It is becoming a thing.
And Chim's like, no, because we're together and that's home. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
you're softy, you're
Oh,
cute. And then Chim goes, you know, how it's not the most romantic place for a honeymoon. And he goes, oh, it's worse. And then they both go upside down cruise ship.
I
mhm.
love that so freaking much.
I loved it. I was like, perfect.
You know, I saw somewhere like I was, do you think Maddie and Chim will ever take a honeymoon? And I'm like, and me and some other people are like, no, I think they're
depends what it is.
Yeah.
good
They're
with
gonna probably
bubble,
stay in their house locked inside and not leave.
room with bubble wrap and mattresses and far away from any sort of water.
Right.
The cruise ship arc will always haunt me because, like, the other day, one of my coworkers was like, "Yeah, so like somebody asked me if I wanted to go on a cruise, and I was like, hell yeah!" And in my head, I'm like, 911, thinking of the 911 episode. Nope, that's a nope for
Nope.
me.
Nope. Yep.
Oh yeah, I had an interaction with a coworker that was a little similar to that recently where I was talking about an upcoming trip I have, and he was like, oh, you haven't seen travel much, you should do a cruise. And I'm like outwardly I'm just kind of going, oh yeah, maybe, and then where I'm going, nope.
Big NO.
Like, I'm sorry, but even if I ever do take a cruise, I'm gonna need at least a decade separation from this arc to be able
Yeah, that's true.
read it. But I don't think I've ever. So yeah, I just. But yeah, so Chim asks if it's the wedding of Maddie's dreams, and she's like, "Cute, but your ass it is."
I love that.
They're married. That's the main point of the day, you know.
Yeah.
Right? And I love them holding up their rings. That was really cute.
Mm. And Chim says how it's a day they'll never forget. And then he has him Buck and Tommy were a thing before his amnesia. And Maddie says, yeah, they actually were. And Chim's like, then not everything's back. And here so this actually put me into a little conundrum because the way he's speaking, I'm like, is he under the impression he knew beforehand?
Right.
I don't think he
He knew beforehand.
I'm like, in all fairness, you didn't even know about them
Yeah,
before
exactly.
this all happened. Like, you didn't even know that they were a possibility. So in your defense, Chim, like,
Presumably.
you're fine for being like,
Right.
wait a minute. But like, also, I feel like it's one of those things where you're like, wait, did I know about this? Like, you can't diversify. Like, if this is something I knew before, this is something I didn't know.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like I'm not quite sure how much of a time gap there was between the wedding and like the coffee shop date in 705, but
Yeah, or even like,
clearly no one else really
or
of
even
that.
in
Yeah.
this episode, I'm not really sure how much time has passed.
Yeah.
It was less than a week because I could have sworn when Buck said that, please come, he's like, come to my date to my sister's wedding Sunday or something like that. So it made me think that it was less than a week
He put a
away.
day. I don't think he put a date on.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not sure.
I
might be wrong.
Yeah. I
don't remember
exactly. That was
there
like
being
quite a
like
few
a
weeks ago.
date. But I know it was like soon, or like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? I don't remember, but like, yeah, time is crazy.
Yeah, I don't think he put it. I think they might have left it ambiguous, like on purpose,
Mhm.
or maybe
Yeah.
just like put it in there. But I do think it was maybe within a week or two.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. But like
Mhm.
at this point, Maddie and Eddie, as far as we know, we're the only ones who knew.
Right.
And
Exactly.
obviously, Kim can also not keep a secret. So if he'd known,
There's that.
probably everyone else would have.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
kind of forget about that.
But yeah, so Maddie says, well, if you need a refresher, I'm here. And then the last one is Chim asks, so why do they call me Chimney?
And I'm
we
like,
still never
same.
get it. We're never
Same.
gonna get
Same chimney, same. Another show I watched that I forget what it was, but there was something like that on that show, and it would always be hinted at, and they eventually revealed it, but it would always be like, why do we call it this? And then it would cut the scene, and I'm like,
Yeah.
why? I just
Right.
want to know.
Well,
So
and even at the end of Kenny's live, he's like, "Oh, somebody wants to know, why I'm called Chimney." So about that, and then he like turns it off. I was like,
I
"Really?"
love that. Yeah, and also like they did that video with Gavin. It was like, why is Chimney called Chimney? And they all made up their own things, which was really funny.
I've not
Uh,
seen this.
And like let's like I don't know, like obviously we know that like so he became Chimney after Tommy had left the 118. So I'm
yes.
thinking it was like at some point when Buck was there. Yeah, because season one they were calling him Chimney, so it has to be like shortly in that time period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, because like, so I am curious because Tommy didn't know, but Buck was Tommy's replacement. So he would
Mm-hmm.
have come in not too long after Tommy left.
Right.
So, but the pilot of season one happens soon after Buck comes to the 118. So there was a very limited like time frame.
Yeah.
I don't
I'm
know. I'm
also
curious. They need to tell us.
I'm
We're
also
7
convinced they don't even know why.
maybe.
That like
They
they're all these seasons they're still like trying to figure it out, and eventually we will find out, I hope, but like they just don't know like what story they're gonna have to make up or
Does
give
anyone
to
have
us.
a theory on what the origin of the name is?
Yeah.
Like, do any of us have like a head canon on what the origin of his name is?
I
Not.
honestly don't
I
know.
do, but it's not like anything solid. I don't know. I feel like there's something that involves like rescuing something or someone out of a chimney, or him falling down a chimney, or a Santa thing. So
I
I have no freaking
I
idea,
feel
but
like I don't know. Like I really don't have strong things, but like him being small is mentioned so much that I have to like just think that somebody gets stuck in a chimney or some call revolving a chimney, and only Chim could go down the chimney because he's the smallest one. That's the only thing I could think of that makes logical sense.
I agree with that, but also my personal one is because there's obviously he could have gotten stuck well rescuing someone from a chimney, or he's the only one who's able to go down the chimney. But also we know how he used to be when he was dating people. So once maybe he tried to play Santa to impress a girl and got stuck in a chimney, and then his crew had to come and get him unstuck.
Oh my
ooh, that's a
god.
good one too.
It's
I
gonna
like
That's my
that.
first,
be,
right?
yeah, it's just, I love that that's how they ended it though, because like that was so comedic. Like I loved it.
And Maddie's eyes just kind of fly open, like, oh, that's a story. And then they end up, and I'm like, nah. But yeah, so that was the episode.
I did love it. Like I said earlier, like I was kind of on the edge of my seat the whole time. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, I was worried. I was like, oh my God, like what's gonna happen? Like it was crazy episode. And I liked it. I feel like it was very like full circle. I know like people were upset that like scenes were cut, but honestly, they had nothing to do with like Maddie and Chimney's wedding. And like, let's not make every episode about like Buck or Eddie or Buddy or anything like that. Like, honestly. And honestly, I don't think it would have added anything to the episode.
Yeah, all in all, the bachelor party was actually such a small bit of the episode because it was all in
Mhm.
flashback. Like they
Yeah.
had to fit a lot already in a very small time slot. So
Yeah.
like, the scenes probably would have been cute and everything like that, but I'm not unhappy with what we got at all.
Yeah. I know. This episode was really interesting too. Like I know there were some comments made, and I guess like I'm trying to piece together, know a little bit about the industry, and I know that networks often can take raw footage and use it as promos without the show it actually being in the show.
Mhm.
And I know a lot of people were really bummed that the karaoke scene was cut out, but I actually liked how they did it.
I did
We
too.
still got a lot of great content, and
They
I know
technically
people
cut.
were mad, but I'm like, I think we got great content regardless of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even
Um,
Tim came out and said they used raw footage that had not even been approved for final like stuff.
mhm,
Because they like as he said, he has no
right.
control over what the promotional team does and
Yeah,
all.
for the network, yeah.
And that's, that's also not the promos team part. They used, because they could not show anything else from the episode without giving stuff away.
Mhm.
Right.
We were able to use
Yeah.
the little bit that they could.
Yeah.
So,
Not to mention there's a lot of times in promos where one like version of the scene might be put in the promo or a
Mhm.
teaser, whatever it may be, and then they end up using another version of that scene.
Right.
Like that's happened before. And like
Yeah.
maybe they'll release the scene like in the future so we can still like watch it, and that's why like that would be cool. Like I'm not really mad about them cutting the scene. I think I even made like a video about it. Like I forget exactly what I said, but honestly I was just like, you know what, like maybe it'll be deleted, you never know what can happen. And like I really
Mhm.
honestly like it's not really about Buddy. And like
this was a Maddie.
yeah, that's
Maddie,
why I'm like, and I would have, I think honestly, they would have had to make the scene a little bit longer. And honestly, just based on all the content we got in the episode
Yeah.
and the fact that they had to cut down like just so much, like it made sense. And it's about Madney's wedding. It's about like the stuff we got with Chim. And honestly, like I would have rather seen everything that we saw in the episode than that. And I know a lot of people are like, well, I didn't want to see Doug. Well, Doug was just like just a little part of like whatever Chim's medical episode, what Chim was
and
going
also
through.
that's too damn bad because that
Yeah.
was just a vital part of the episode
Right.
and a vital key to what was happening with him.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't know. Like, I can understand being disappointed about stuff. I think because I read what Tim put out. I read what the statement Tim put out. I read a couple of the comments that got put in. And for one thing, I saw that he said he was getting death threats because of, which is
People-
ridiculous. And this is why
people are going way too fucking far.
Yeah, and
this is
this
why we
is
can't
why-
have get on those things.
I know. Yeah, well, yeah, not even that. Like, this is like, you do not message the creator, the writers about like things in the storyline because like there is a way bigger team. Not even that. Like, it's a freaking show. If you can't like get over that, maybe you shouldn't watch TV. That's my thing.
I know, golly.
Yeah.
And it's like the Buddy fans. It's like Buddy fans have just been so relentless recently that I don't even want to like think about Buddy.
I've had to stop consuming content lately just because the like discourse has gotten so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
like
that really I hate that. I've been a Buddy
hate
shipper
that.
since the beginning.
Mhm.
Obviously the beginning of when Eddie arrived and everything. But the fact that I am sadly also a Buck Tommy shipper, and I'm kind of good with whoever goes in game at this point because I think Buck Tommy are adorable. Sadly, that kind of means that I'm just having to lean more on the Buck Tommy side of the fandom because the Buddy side, it's so divided, and I don't want to encourage.
Yeah, the one
Yeah.
thing I don't like is that people who have always been Buddy fans and that are now like shipping Buck and Tommy, like other Buddy fans will go after them and
Mhm.
like I
Traitors.
forget, say something or like they'll be mean about them liking Buck and Tommy, and it's like leave people alone.
Also,
Well, yeah.
multi-ship.
Yeah, and I think that's what's the most irritating for me is this I'm disappointed in the Buddy fans who are attacking fellow Buddy fans for liking Tommy and Buck together. I think that that's not right. For one, we have a right to like and dislike what we are, and when we share that, we shouldn't be bashed for it. We also shouldn't be going after the actors and the creators of the shows when we're upset about a scene being cut. I mean, I can't tell you how many times we were upset about a kiss being cut of Tarlos or stuff and fans griping about it. And I think even Tim had made a comment in that whole saying, a statement he put out about it happened during the Tarlos wedding. Like there had been a whole bunch of stuff cut out of the episode that he eventually just released it all, but he wasn't going to do that this time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that's really disappointing that, people were so up in arms and made comments and stuff that he just didn't want to do it. And I'm like, now we're not getting that. And
Which I don't blame him because of like
no.
it's people's own info. Like he probably would have like fought for it to be released if
Yeah.
people had been, kind and civil and
Yeah.
like look what you did.
Right.
Exactly. That's why I say we can't have nice things. And also because I know people are going after Lou. And I don't know if
Yeah.
anyone's been keeping up with Lou's content, but that man,
He's
I'm sorry,
unbothered.
he's precious. He's
I
so
love
cute.
Lou.
He's so involved with Tommy. He loves Tommy.
Right.
clearly has a passion for what he's doing right now. And the fact that people are going after him, I'm just like,
Well,
no.
and I think I'm irritated the most because I saw a comment the other day and I got really irritated with it. They're like, you guys don't even know anything about Tommy. And I'm like, that might be true, but if you go back and watch Bobby Begins Again, Hen Begins, and Chim Begins, you'll get some Tommy that you didn't realize, and you're getting him now. And they're like, and so they were commenting about how I don't understand why people like Tommy. And I was like, seriously, guys, like let's just stop. Like, let's just enjoy the show and realize, you know what? We've been thinking that Buck has been bisexual since the beginning, and you know what? We finally got it. We should be happy about that. But instead, everybody's griping about how it came about. And I'm like, stop it.
I know. And like, it's annoying because like I think a couple days before this episode aired, people are talking like, oh my God, Tommy's gonna see Buck and Eddie, and then Buck and Tommy will be over. And these are like anti-Tommy people, which I didn't realize. And I was like, okay, that's a quick unfollow for me because I do not want to hear you bashing Tommy or talking about whatever. Because like that, I'm like, oh my God, what's gonna happen?
Right. And Grace, like you,
opposite.
I've been avoiding a lot. I mean, when I go on Twitter and I look at the pictures and the GIFs and the videos, and I like some of the comments that I see that I, agree with, but I'm staying out of a lot of it because I don't want to. And
I
then
think Twitter is the main place where all this drama is happening because I haven't physically seen it with my eyes, but I've heard about it enough where I can be like, oh, this is happening. It's like wherever I am, like that, like somebody will be like, oh, I'm not really a fan of Buck and Tommy, but that's fine. They say they're not a fan, and like they're like, cool for you that you like them, and it's not hateful. That's why I cannot go on Twitter.
That's totally cool. Like, you don't like him, and that's fine.
Yeah, and I don't even mind you telling me you don't like them.
Just respect others who do or don't.
Exactly.
We're all allowed to like our own stuff. We're not all gonna like the same thing. We're all individuals.
Right.
Like I just know that like because my primary like social media right now is largely like Tumblr oriented. I went on Twitter once and I regretted it since this whole thing started. I've never gone back. But just even Tumblr itself like is pretty divided. I know a lot of social media places are, and it's like, at the end of the day, it's also just a show. These are fictional characters, but they're played by real people. They're created by real people. And the people on the other side of the phone screens are also real people. And mainly, I like no matter what you ship, no matter what your feelings are on either ship. And I'm also saying this for some Buck Tommy fans because I've seen some people retaliate kind of nastily. And I'm like, okay, well, this is turning into a both-sided fight on some places. We just get some perspective.
Yeah, go touch some grass every once in a while. That's what I have to say about that.
Put down the phone, go touch some grass. And this is gonna happen as it goes. Obviously, we are 3 huge fans of the show.
Yeah.
The creators know what they're doing. And and I think it's also important. I think just in case anyone needs to hear it, it's also important on 2 things. Even if Buck Tommy does not work out, it's still not a guarantee we'll get Buddy.
Exactly.
Also, if Buck Tommy does not work out, this is still a hugely impactful relationship on Buck's life.
Exactly.
That will never go away.
Right.
He will still have always been his first male kiss, his first male date, quite possibly first male a lot of other things.
Yep.
He will always be his bio. So even if they don't, guess what? Tommy is going to be in the history of the show monumentally.
Yeah, I think I even made a comment in the author's notes when I was writing this fanfic. I think I made a comment that I think that Tommy is going to be a friend of Buck's for life, regardless of the relationship they have. I don't know if the romantic relationship is going to continue, but if it does, great. If it doesn't, I think Buck's got a friend for life. And I know a lot of people are just like stressing about it. I'm like, just be happy for Buck. That I am. I totally am. I'm happy for him being himself and letting this life happen. And Lou is amazing. Like, he's an amazing actor. And I think he's embraced what he knows of Tommy now. And I think he said that he's had some conversations with like Tim about like Tommy and his past. And I'm looking forward to having some more Tommy. And regardless of the relationship him and Buck have, I actually want Tommy to stick around as a character because I like that helicopter rescue aspect of the fire department, and I think we need that in 911.
Oh yeah, 100%. It keeps things like fresh because we could get like different things. It could be incorporated in calls.
Yeah. I agree with all of that.
Yeah. I was thinking about it too, because I actually hadn't seen any articles or anything about Jennifer talking about her husband coming back into the show. Because, if you don't know, Doug is played by her real life husband. And I guess she did do an interview about it, and she had been talking to Tim about it. And they were talking about Doug coming back, and she thought it was going to be like a flashback, or it was going to impact the wedding day for Maddie's character. And she's like, but then when I found out that it wasn't in my brain that he was coming back, but it was Chimney's, she thought it was a brilliant idea, because it was obvious that he's been holding on to something from his own trauma with it, and we've never really gotten Chimney to like process through that.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, her kids were excited that Dad was coming back to 911, and like had to wear a Santa hat, because part of the scene was him wearing a Santa hat on the bus. And they're like, so some of the kids are like Doug fans, even though they don't like Doug per se in the show, they're happy to see their dad on the show with Mom. So I thought that was really cute.
Yeah, I saw something that said that like her kids have also, like, now that they're old enough to watch the show in some ways, are like also now like fans.
Yeah.
And like wear some merch and stuff like that. And I think that's just so cute.
Mhm.
I love everyone's devotion to the show. Like, they've been
Yes.
putting their all into it, especially this season.
Mhm.
And you know what? That is amazing. I love also, like, on the topic of Jennifer, her love for the show and like her ideas for the show. But she was the one, she was the one who thought of the Bachelor crossover. And
Right, that's right.
and I
Yeah.
know other stuff. I can't remember exactly what, but she saw other stuff. She's been driving Forest behind a couple of things. And it's like, you know what? That is amazing. That's a
Yeah.
great
She's been an amazing positive addition to the series. I'm really glad we got her in season 2. Her and Eddie.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And all in all, I think the show was great. I know that it was like originally almost an hour and a half, and they had to cut down a lot,
Yeah.
but I think what we got was great. I'm sure we'll get more. I also think like anything that was cut out could have been cut out because same conversation or same situation happened later or in a different way in the same show, and they didn't want to just have it repeated. So and
also,
we might get stuff in the future too. So
yeah, like I'm wondering if some of those scenes, like depending on what they were and when they happen, I wonder if we're gonna get a couple of them next episode. Like if there was any continuing scenes. Because I know I've seen
I didn't think about
a
that.
couple.
Yeah.
I know, like I've seen some people speculate that Eddie's wearing the same outfit and is still from next episode as he is from the wedding, but that he also, you know what, also re-wearing the clothes is a thing. So
Right.
maybe that's it. Who knows? But I don't know. There's a lot of speculation there. We have a still fair amount coming up in the next couple of weeks. So there's a lot.
Yes.
Do we have any fan thoughts? I know we went on. No, I did not help with that. Go on a little bit of a
That's
tangent there.
okay. Yeah, there's a
Um,
few. They're very interesting. So I'm so happy they're finally married. The song at the end, crying emoji, Hen's reaction, Tubok laughing, crying emoji. I loved that one. A couple people said they didn't really enjoy the episode, which that makes me sad for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it does. Because it's a really good episode, and everyone's entitled to their opinions. I'm not saying you have a bad opinion. I'm just saying that, like, that makes me sad. That I don't know. It was just so good. Not quite as creative with things as Tarlo's wedding, but still good. I didn't like that because I don't like how we're pitting different weddings against each other. That's kind of my vibe from that. I don't like that. Like, I get we're gonna compare things whether we want to or not, but I don't know. I don't like that. I like to keep things separate. Is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, I haven't like really compared anything from Lone Star 911 in a while.
Yeah, like
Mm.
I will compare things, but not to that level.
Right.
But that's all we have for that. And I don't know what to say about that.
Right.
Very hot takes, I guess, today.
So promo. Now I have seen some of the promo stuff, but so yeah. So trigger warning, I believe for is it domestic abuse?
I don't
Domestic
know if it's domestic abuse. I think it's more of an abduction. I don't necessarily know if this is going like yes, it's gonna have like that element to it, but I don't know if it's like a couple. I'm getting the vibe that it's not.
Yeah, I saw somewhere
yeah.
that has a couple, but like I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I don't think that's true.
definitely something, but yeah, I'm not exactly sure what it is.
But anyway, trigger warning for action. So we get a woman calling 911, asking, but she asks if it's the Sunset Regency Hotel. immediately flashback to speaking of Lone Star, flashback to some scenes from Lone Star, where we've had a similar emergency. And Maddie says, "No, you dialed 911." And the woman's like, "I'd like to book a room." And Maddie says, "I take it you're not allowed to speak freely." And the woman goes, "That's right." There's a baby in the back seat who is crying, and the man who's driving the car is yelling, and Maddie says, "Be advised, abduction of a mother and infant child in progress." The guy takes her phone, says she's done talking, and then we see a car flip over, and it's on fire, and it's about bad blaze. Like all you can see is fire, and the call's disconnected, and Maddie's crying. Obviously, this is difficult for anybody, but it's especially hard hitting for her because of, especially if it is domestic abuse. And we're not sure yet what exactly.
I don't know. It's getting the vibe that, like, I don't know, like that they were abducted or something. I mean, not necessarily that. I don't know. Like, yeah, she could know him, but it's not giving like the typical vibes that you would get from this sort of episode.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I think I might personally be seeing a little bit more as like domestic, but I'm not even really sure how to describe why I'm seeing it as that. Just, I don't know. It is giving me the vibe of it. So we'll find out. We'll find out I guess on the day this episode goes up, we'll be finding out what happens.
And yeah, like, so this episode is giving like Maddie, Dina, because like they're gonna be working together to work on this. I read that. And then like also Bobby, because the nurse in the burn unit that Bobby knows is gonna be coming in this episode. So like that's gonna need some storyline for him. That's gonna start for obviously 7 going into 8. So that'll be interesting.
Now I'm wondering if we're gonna have Chin back, because he's technically in hospital during this episode. He's supposed to be there for 3 weeks, and I would imagine he probably is. I don't know if he's going to be cleared immediately to go back to work.
Yeah.
So
it also depends like how much time that they're gonna pass through 6 to 7, because they might honestly make it so like enough time passes.
Yeah. So we'll find out with that. But yeah, I'm very interested to see what's gonna happen with this the whole thing with the burn unit nurse.
I'm very excited for that storyline. When I heard about it, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And like more stuff with Bobby. I know like people are like quoting things off IMDb being like maybe Bobby's family, but I'm like, guys, let's remember that like anything that's on like any of those websites can easily be edited. So like anything that's on there is not true.
And if they're going to like
take it with a grain of salt, basically.
They could have come in for flashback.
Like, well, not even that. It's not reliable information. Like it can easily be edited. Anybody could be edited on there and say that they're this person. Doesn't matter like what type of scene it's for. It's not reliable information where you're like, oh, this is happening, this person's coming in.
And in case anyone's saying it, it's not like his family's going to be alive. Like his family is still dead. We're not getting that.
I think they're thinking like a brother, from his extended family, not necessarily his family.
Okay. I thought you were saying family. I'm like, just before anyone forgets, the entire theme of Bobby is that his family is dead. So, okay. But yeah,
I think there was a mention of possibly a brother, Bobby's brother of some way,
I think I read that was not confirmed. I don't know, because like I like to see the source myself, but people were reading these things off IMDb and I'm like, guys, this is not reliable.
Yeah, much like Wikipedia, you can edit it like Katie said, so it's hard to like take. I mean, and yes, us as fans can go in there and like, no, that's not the actor who played such and such, and we can tell them, but there's still like,
And also, we have not had Bobby's brother come at any point in time, so we wouldn't know.
Right.
We wouldn't know he had a brother, but I did see somebody say like they think that was confirmed, which would be interesting because I know things about Bobby's
confirmed he had a brother.
Well, I don't know what the source is. I'm saying that
and there's also a talk of like Bobby being like not first generation firefighter, like
multiple generations, which that is interesting. Like, why aren't we? Maybe we will get into that, but I think we should.
Yeah, I feel like I remember that this got talked about in a previous episode. I'm pretty sure like 4th generation firefighter is in fact talked about. I could have sworn brother thing was also mentioned in another episode, but I'm not positive. I'm like 80% sure because I feel there's like this nagging memory, but I can't like put a finger on it.
Right.
Either way, we're going to be getting Bobby content and it's going to be great. And I know I'm going to be stressed out watching it, but I'm still going to watch. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting what happens because, you know, this is the main theme for the next couple of episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Do we have any other thoughts we want to say?
No, I'm just happy
No.
that Maddie and Chim are finally married.
I know. About the time.
We made it.
I know. I love it.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us and listening. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts and be sure to check out our website at 911lsroundup.com. You guys can follow the podcast on our socials at 911lsroundup on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. As always, be sure to join our Discord server. The link will be in the description of this podcast and also on our website.
You guys can follow me, Katie F. Lovatarlos, on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads.
You guys can follow me, Grace, at RonanRaffin911 on Instagram and at CheapGirl31 on Twitter.
You can follow me, EJ, at EJ8302 on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and pretty much everywhere on social media. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.